Hey guys, I'm Drago, and welcome to another video where I try to draw a character as accurately as I can, based purely on their description alone. We've done this before with Hollow Knight and Silksong characters, go check out that video if you're interested. And basically, I have someone describe a character to me, I have absolutely no idea who this character is, and I have to draw them and design them based only on the description that I am given. And it's a really fun challenge. Now, as of recording this intro, I still don't know who the character is. I'm saving that for when I record the outro, so that it could be like a big reveal for myself as well as you guys. But the description of this character was given to me by one of my members, Kim Zim Meek Mix. They have become a Lost Win, which is the highest member tier, and I'm so thankful. And one of the perks of that member tier is being involved in videos. So I asked them for a description of any character they wanted, and here we are. Let's take a look at what they gave me. They are a non-binary bipedal ghost sheep with 2 large curled red horns, and they wear a damaged iron mask with a few cracks and 2 large holes for their eyes, tear-like markings streaming down below those holes, and a snowflake symbol on the top of the mask with 6 spikes. Their face under the mask is red and damaged from being charred, and apart from their face, their head is fully covered in bandages. Where their nose should be is just 2 holes, and their eyes are fully black, but their left eye has a small white pupil. They wear a greyish fleece with a red stripe in the centre and a black strap with a silver buckle around it. Over the fleece they wear a short red cloak with a dark greyish brown shirt collar. Both arms are wrapped in bandages up to their hands, and they float with no legs, with one of those typical things that ghosts have instead of legs. Yeah, I have absolutely zero idea who this character is, so let's go on to me trying to design this. First things first, I went into a rough construction sketch, which is where I just sort of roughly lay everything out, all the shapes, the sort of pose, the anatomy, and get my design ideas in. This description has a lot of unique features to it, and I could tell sort of the main features were the big red horns, that was sort of a main defining feature, and the mask, so I really wanted to focus on those. I also did a separate headshot to show off the face underneath the mask, as it was included in the description, so I also wanted to show that off because the burns and the charring seemed also important to the character, and the bandages. Now initially with the word fleece, I took it as it's a sheep has a fleece, you know, the wool of the sheep is its fleece, and I was just going to do that. But then I read it further and I read that, you know, it has a red stripe and it has a buckle, and I was thinking that probably wouldn't be the case if it was the sheep's actual fleece. It probably is more a fleece in terms of a piece of clothing, like the coat, a fleece coat. So that's what I went for in the end. Also for the hands, I made them hooves, but other than that I just tried to really closely follow the description here and interpret it in my own way. Initially I was going to have it so the nose and muzzle were visible through the mask, or rather the mask didn't extend that far, but I changed it because I thought a mask is usually a full face covering, or at least in this case I felt it would be a full face covering. I just felt it worked better, so instead I went with covering it all, and I could show off the nose and stuff in the extra headshot I drew. I did struggle a little bit with the anatomy, because to me this felt like it was meant to be a little bit cartoony, but then I went a bit more realistic, and then I added in the ghost trail thing, and then it looked a bit weird with the, you know, semi-realistic style versus a sort of cartoony ghost trail. I think it ended up looking a little bit weird in that respect, and it made me think that maybe the original character is actually more of a cartoony style. But you know, this is my style and we're just doing it how I interpret it, so it is what it is. As usual with my line work, I always focus on line weight variation, going back over places to make them a bit thicker and bolder so that areas can be more defined, well layered, and it also adds a little bit of shading in the line work itself. And I always like to use a lighter pressure on areas so that the brush size goes quite thin and faint, and it's a really good way to add some texture in your lines. And I like to use that as a guide for my painting stage. For big curving lines though, I did use line work layers just to make it a bit easier on myself, such as on the horns. Okay, honestly, my favourite stage of when I do drawing is the texture and painting stage, which is where I add in the colour and then actually add in all the texture and the sort of shades and hues that help define it as a 3D image rather than a flat 2D thing. You know, it helps to add the 3D shapes in. So after adding in all the flat colours, in which I followed the description as closely as I could, which didn't mean sort of messing around with the horn colour a bit because I thought it was too saturated and I thought it was too dull, and it took a bit to get sort of all the different shades of reds to be distinct from each other but also fit the description, if that makes sense. But anyways, after I'd done all that, I went in with a watercolour brush on a block texture and just started adding in that texture and definement. There's also a little bit of shading as well. I do add a little bit of lighting, but I mostly focus on making sure it looks like a 3D shape at this point, rather than being flat and 2D. So with the flesh, I went with sort of the red colour, and then I also added a little bit of grey over the top to show the charred description. For the bandages, I gave them a little bit of blood staining, and for the tear marks and the snowflake marking, I actually ended up making them indents. So I just used a sort of darker bluish grey to show that they are markings indented into the mask, rather than being painted on. In other areas, I used different brushes, such as the normal paintbrush or the airbrush, to add in extra texture. For example, on the fleece coat, I used an airbrush with a very grainy texture to give it that idea of the material of fleece. And I put it on a very, very low opacity layer just so it's not too overpowering, but it's also there and visible. Next up is to just do the general shading, which is where I really start to add in the lighting and the light direction. Sometimes I use shade layers, but here I was able to use an overlay. It worked quite well, and I went with sort of a reddish lighting. And since this isn't a really big piece, it doesn't really have a background, it's just on a transparent background. I'm mainly only worried about making sure that things were defined, that areas that would be in shadow naturally because something's overlapping were in shadow. It was mainly just thinking of a light source generically from the top left, but not really strong, and just more so shading to add to the 3D effect. And I finish off my shading by doing a more refined type of shading, where I just use my normal line work brush and just add harsher shadows and highlights, ones that would have harder edges. I do tend to still blur them a little bit, but really not much, so that I have that mix of nice soft shadows and highlights, but also harsher shadows and highlights with hard edges that really help define areas. And once all of that was finished, we were done. So here is my finished piece based on the description I was given, and I have a feeling I'm going to be way off. I just have a feeling that this character is going to be more cartoony than what I've done. But in terms of not knowing anything about whoever this character is. I feel like I've done pretty well to match the description I was given. But now it's time to reveal the character. The character is Rami from Cult of the Lamb. I would never have gotten that. I know nothing about Cult of the Lamb. But oh my god, they're so cute. And honestly, I'm not that far off, am I? Really? I don't think so. Okay, maybe I am. Okay, I think in terms of the face and the horns, I was pretty good there. I got that quite well. The mask is quite different to what I drew. It's a lot more, actually gives me Iron Man Mark 1 vibes. And the clothing is fairly different. Honestly, I'm crap at clothing. I don't know why I always struggle to design clothing. And of course, as I feared, the style is a lot more cartoony because it is Cult of the Lamb. But you know, I feel like I did fairly well. Having absolutely no knowledge of Cult of the Lamb or this character and being given this description, I think I did fairly well, honestly. But anyways, what do you guys think? How well do you guys think I did? Do you think I got close to this character or do you think I was way off? And once again, thank you so much to Kimzim Meek Mix for being the highest tier member and giving me this description to make this video on. It was a lot of fun. And if you'd like to be involved in videos, then become a channel member. Each tier has different perks, and you could be a channel member and support me from as little as £2 a month. And if you do, then thank you so much, I really appreciate that. And if you'd like more videos of this style, where I am given a character description and I have to design the character based only on that description, then let me know in the comments down below. And hey, maybe write some descriptions for me to do. Just make sure to hide who the character is. But anyways guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, maybe leave a like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. A huge shout out to my channel members, I really appreciate you guys, thank you so much for supporting me. And a special thanks to Kobo4231 and Kimzim Meek Mix. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see all you wonderful people in the next video. Bye!